Okay, so today we're going deep, really deep, into the life of one of history's most fascinating figures, Leonardo da Vinci.
The quintessential Renaissance man.
Exactly, the Renaissance man. And we've got sources here detailing pretty much every aspect of his life, his art, his science, inventions. We're going to uncover what made him such a unique genius, and we'll do it in a way that, is both fast and thorough.
Sounds good.
So I think the first thing to highlight here is how Leonardo really bridged, the gap between art and science. Like, he approached everything with such a scientific mindset. It's incredible.
Absolutely. Even his early life, born in 1452 near Vinci, illegitimate son of a notary and a peasant woman. Unusual beginnings, right?
Yeah.
But accepted into his father's family nonetheless.
Yeah, that's interesting. His early upbringing, though, is a bit unclear. Some accounts suggest his father's household, while others emphasize, his stepmother, grandfather, and especially his uncle Francesco, who really instilled in him a love for nature.
Right.
But either way, growing up in an area known for its artistic heritage, combined with that early exposure to nature, obviously had a profound impact on him. And, by his early teens, his artistic talent was undeniable, which is probably why, around age 14 or 15, he became an apprentice to Andrea del Verrocchio in Florence.
Oh, Verrocchio. A leading artist at the time, connected to the Medici, trained in various disciplines, painting, sculpture, even technical mechanical arts. Imagine getting to learn from someone like that.
I know. From basic tasks to mastering drawing, Leonardo's development was remarkable.
It really was. Just look at his contribution to Verrocchio's Baptism of Christ, that angel on the left, often attributed to Leonardo. And there's that famous story, though perhaps embellished, about Verrocchio being so blown away by it that he vowed to never paint again.
Yeah, I've heard that one. It really shows how quickly Leonardo progressed. By 1472, he was already a master artist, part of the Guild of St. Luke. Although, interestingly, he continued working with Verrocchio until around 1477.
Right. It wasn't until then that he established his own workshop.
And from there, his career took off. His earliest dated work is that Arno Valley drawing from 1473. And then just a few years later, his first independent commission and altarpiece for the Palazzo Vecchio chapel in Florence.
Unfortunately, it was never finished.
Yeah, a recurring theme with Leonardo, right? But even in his early works, like the Annunciation, you can see his mastery of perspective starting to shine through. Then there's the Adoration of the Magi, another ambitious piece left unfinished.
He had so many ideas, constantly pushing boundaries. But before he could really delve into those, there was a major shift. His move to Milan.
Right, and that move in 1482 was a strategic one. He went to work for Duke Ludovico Sforza, also known as Il Moro, who had this vibrant court attracting artists and thinkers from all over.
Exactly. And what's so interesting is that in that famous letter he wrote to Sforza, Leonardo presented himself primarily as a military engineer.
Yeah. See, Milan didn't have the same saturated art market as Florence, so this was a smart way to stand out and get noticed. So he became Pictor et Ingenierius Ducalis, the Duke's painter and engineer.
A dual role that perfectly encapsulates Leonardo's multifaceted genius. His time in Milan is marked by some of his most famous paintings, like The Last Supper, Lady with an Ermine, and of course, Virgin of the Rocks.
Don't forget the decade-long legal battle over the Virgin of the Rocks, which just goes to show the complexities of art patronage back then. But he didn't just paint in Milan. He was also deeply involved in court festivals, maybe even contributed to those Sala delle Asse frescoes.
And let's not forget about the Portrait of a Musician, an incredible piece.
Oh, absolutely. But beyond his art, his impact as an engineer was profound. He worked on architecture, fortifications, even military strategy. Imagine designing things like tanks and submarines back then.
Way ahead of his time.
I know. His notebooks from this period are full of incredible stuff, studies of nature, the mechanics of flight, geometry. It's like he saw the interconnectedness of everything.
A true polymath.
He even worked on civil engineering projects, like designing bridges and devising ways to divert rivers. And who could forget that colossal equestrian monument he planned for Francesco Sforza?
Ambitious for sure. Sadly, it was never cast.
Another unfinished project. But speaking of ambitious, his scientific inquiries really took off in Milan. He performed detailed anatomical research, even dissecting human bodies.
Over 30 dissections, leading to groundbreaking anatomical sketches that challenged the medical beliefs of his time.
Talk about pushing boundaries. He had an insatiable curiosity, delving into anatomy, botany, optics, all through meticulous observation and experimentation. So around 1500, after the fall of Sforza, Leonardo returned to Florence. and his drive didn't diminish one bit.
Not at all. He served as an architectural expert, but his fascination with geometry really took hold. This is the period when he began work on the Battle of Angari, another massive project sadly left unfinished.
Yeah, another one. But around the same time, he started what might be his most famous work of all, the Mona Lisa. Imagine being in Florence at that time. Leonardo, Michelangelo, Raphael, all working at the same time.
A true golden age for art.
Absolutely. But Leonardo's journey wasn't over yet. He then entered into the service of Cesare Borgia, becoming his senior military architect and engineer. He traveled extensively throughout Borgia's territories, designing fortifications and creating incredibly detailed maps.
Essentially early cartography. He even designed a bridge over the Golden Horn and had a meeting with Niccolò Machiavelli during this time.
It's incredible how much he accomplished in such a short time. Later, in Rome, under the patronage of the Medici, specifically Giuliano de' Medici, he continued his work. But his anatomical studies were hampered because the Pope at the time, Pope Leo X, prohibited dissections. Still, he managed to complete St. John the Baptist during this period.
A truly captivating work.
Oh yeah. And then comes his final chapter. In 1516, at the invitation of King Francis I, he moved to France, becoming the premier painter and engineer and architect to the king. He was given a generous stipend and lived in the beautiful Château de Clos-Lucé.
A fitting end for a true Renaissance man.
Definitely. During his final 3 years in France, surrounded by his students, he continued to work on various projects for the king. He created sketches for court festivals and possibly even contributed to the designs of grand chateaux like Chambord and Romorantin. And importantly, he dedicated time to organizing his scientific notes and treatise on painting.
Oh, and he built a mechanical lion, a testament to his enduring fascination with invention.
It really is. Sadly, though, in 1519, he died at Clos-Lucé, likely from a stroke. He was buried in the palace church of Saint Florentin in Amboise, though his remains were later moved to the chapel of Saint Hubert. But importantly, he bequeathed his manuscripts containing a lifetime of knowledge to Francesco Melzi and his most prized possession, the Mona Lisa, to his longtime assistant Salai.
Quite the legacy.
Indeed. So let's delve into some of his most famous works. First, the Mona Lisa, or La Gioconda. It's a masterpiece that continues to captivate people centuries later. The enigmatic smile, that direct gaze, the incredible Sfumato technique, that subtle blending of colors, and of course the underlying anatomical knowledge that brings it all to life.
And then there's the Last Supper, this incredible depiction of the moment when Jesus announces that one of his apostles will betray him. The way Leonardo captures their reactions, the masterful use of linear perspective, all lines converging on Christ, it's just breathtaking. He used an experimental technique of tempera and oil on dry plaster, which unfortunately led to its deterioration over time. But despite that, it's still one of the most reproduced religious paintings in history.
Yeah, the impact of that painting is undeniable. Those are just two of his many artistic masterpieces. There's also the Annunciation, with its early use of perspective, and Sfumato, Virgin of the Rocks, set in this atmospheric grotto with a beautiful pyramidal composition of light and shadow, and Lady with an Ermine, a work that just radiates psychological intensity.
Not to mention the Adoration of the Magi, an ambitious, complex piece, yet again unfinished. It just shows how much he was constantly experimenting and pushing the boundaries of art.
Absolutely. But his genius wasn't limited to art. As a scientist and inventor, he was centuries ahead of his time. His anatomical studies, conducted through over 30 dissections, were groundbreaking, influencing both his art and leading to significant discoveries that challenged the prevailing medical knowledge of his time.
It's incredible to think that he conceived of inventions like parachutes, helicopters, or as he called it, an aerial screw, and even armored fighting vehicles centuries before they became a reality.
His studies of bird flight directly influenced his designs for flying machines, like the ornithopter. And when you look at his designs for bridges, canal systems, and hydraulic mechanisms, it becomes clear that his understanding of engineering was truly exceptional. Of course, many of his designs were never built due to the limitations of the technology available at the time, but they demonstrate his remarkable visionary thinking.
Absolutely. And his scientific inquiries were driven by a pure, insatiable curiosity. He developed theories about light and optics that challenged the ideas of his predecessors. He conducted detailed studies of fluid dynamics, even investigating things like turbulence. And he was deeply interested in geology, botany, astronomy. He truly believed in the interconnectedness of all things.
A true Renaissance man. And all of these insights are documented in his thousands of pages of notebooks. He wrote in Italian, often using mirror writing, covering an incredible range of subjects. These notebooks provide a window into his mind, his artistic techniques, his scientific theories, his engineering designs. You can see his scientific approach applied consistently across all disciplines.
The importance he placed on sight, on direct observation, which she called sempervedere, is evident throughout his work, and his deep understanding of the principles of physics is truly remarkable.
Sadly, though, his notebooks weren't published during his lifetime, which limited their immediate impact. But today, they offer us an unparalleled glimpse into the mind of a genius, a man who embodied the spirit of the Renaissance. Leonardo da Vinci's life is a testament to the power of human curiosity and intellect. He excelled in art, science, invention, becoming a true polymath in a time when specialization was the norm. His masterpieces continue to inspire awe and wonder. His scientific ideas were ahead of their time, and his notebooks offer a treasure trove of knowledge and insight. As we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with this thought. Leonardo da Vinci saw connections between seemingly unrelated areas of knowledge, and those connections fueled his genius. How can you apply that approach to your own life? What connections can you make between your own interests and the challenges you face?
Something to think about.
Thanks for joining us today. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.